Good people. This is episode number 1. So, I decided not to do any interviews the premiere episode to give a little backstory about who I am and why I decided to do this. So, I talk about some of the experiences, some of my previous job history, just to give insight on what I've done in my 20 years of being in the trades and some of the takeaways I have from the positions that I've held because of the experience in the skilled trades. I was an instructor at a federal prison, and also I was an instructor at the community college adjunct and a teacher at the high school. And those three kind of shaped me, and basically that's my why behind this. So listen to the podcast, watch the YouTube, and you'll understand why I do this. So it's not just all about me. I talk about the position of the licensed building contractor, licensed general contractor in the state of North Carolina. All of the information, if you guys are interested in it, is on my website under this premiere episode. It's also under the YouTube episode in the show notes. So, also, if you have any questions or you're interested in it, I'm always free to answer questions and to guide you in the right direction. Just shoot me an email at jonte at letstalktrades.com. So, let's get into the episode. So, my history in the trades started a little over 20 years ago. So I did not go to a 4-year university. I started working straight out of high school. I moved to North Carolina from Baltimore, Maryland in 1998, and I started working. Now, I was accepted to a 4-year university, North Carolina A&T, but I started working before I attended. So while I was working, I worked at a box plant named, well, it's in Warren County. I'm not going to give any names. And I met a master electrician there. The master electrician was actually the maintenance supervisor. And we started having a conversation because I had a Ravens hat on. And he was interested. He loved the Ravens and he loved Ray Lewis. So we started having conversations. And I told him that I was thinking about going back to school because I had worked there close to 10 years. And he was the one to tell me that a license would bring me more money than a degree ever would, to look into being an electrician. And in doing so, he exposed me to something that I thought about, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I did enroll. I worked full time, paid my tuition out of pocket, and I was working second shift. There were times where I got off at 3 o'clock in the morning and had a 7:30 class. That's how serious I was about furthering my career. And I did 2 years. Second year, I was a presidential scholar. full scholarship, so I didn't have to pay for any out of pocket my second year of community college. Graduated with honors, 4.0, Dean's List, and after that, I started Hawkins Maintenance Services. Remind you, I was still working full time. So I started doing property maintenance with my electrical diploma. Mind you, I wasn't licensed at that point. And I was doing property maintenance. And then I took the test for the GC license. To be a licensed electrician here in North Carolina, you have to work under a licensed electrician for 4 years. And I had gotten to the point where I didn't want to work under anyone else. So I started doing research. I said, who does the electrician work for? And in a construction site, any construction site, all of the sub trades work under the GC. We'll dive into that a little bit more, but that's what I decided to do. I knew construction a little, so I started taking classes, doing online training, took the seminars, and made sure I had the qualifications to take the contractor exam. So I am a licensed building contractor with a limited license in North Carolina. That means I can build any structure, residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, to a limit of $500,000 per contract. And in doing so, I started with the residential work, and it led me to doing more government work. And in doing government work with the local governments, I had to get a security clearance to start bidding on federal contracts. Anything federal, anything dealing with the DOP or the DOD, which is military contracts. All those blueprints are classified. So you do need a security clearance to even access the blueprints to take a look so you can bid on the project. So at that time, it was just switching over from the FBI to Homeland Security. So I went through Homeland Security, did the security clearance, the background check, credit check, fingerprints, all of that to get a security clearance, and I received my security clearance. So I started bidding federal work, and I still ran my business full time, and I received a call from the community college where I attended, and I was recommended to be an instructor at the Federal Bureau of Prisons in Butner, North Carolina. So I already had the security clearance, but I didn't have any teaching experience. But again, I graduated with honors in electrical. So they recommended that I try out. I went there. I taught for 5 years, almost 6. And again, I taught electrical there. And these were felons. And I actually had accepted a position in Petersburg, Virginia at the federal prison there. But we had a presidential election, and the president that came in put a hiring freeze on the federal positions. And at that time, after the hiring freeze, they cut the budget altogether, and I decided to just go ahead and leave. And I moved to the community college and a high school So I taught carpentry at the local high school, and with the help of the DOT, we built out a construction academy there. Again, with the DOT in partnership with the community college. I was teaching at the community college with high schoolers and community college students. And the DOT gave grants because their employees were aging out. And at the time, they had no way to backfill those positions. So they gave the high schools grants to build construction academies so that they can build their talent pool of employees that are willing to work for the DOT. So that was a pretty good experience, being able to see both sides of the spectrum that, like everyone says, the school to prison pipeline. I know we've heard that before, and to see everyone interested in a skill that can bring them a lot of money. But it was also troubling. I talked to a lot of inmates. My classes normally ran almost a traditional semester at a community college, and then I would have a whole new class. And I heard the statement that I've never seen a guy like you where I'm from, a lot. And that troubled me. And I always kept that in the back of my mind because I heard that on more than one occasion. And also, when I got to the high school and community college, I heard that same statement. Now, mind you, the high school was everyone that was local to North Carolina. The prison was federal. So that was everybody from over the entire country and some jurisdictions. So I started to put two and two together, and exposure was the takeaway for me. So that's what I started to do while I was at the high school. Exposure. Talk about my experiences from in the field that would get students interested in the trades and make this an actual career, because it is a lucrative career. Like I said, that electrician told me that a license would bring me more money than a 4-year degree ever would. He was telling the truth. So I am licensed to a $500,000 per contract. It's not per year. There's no limit on the amount of contracts that I can do. It's 100% on me, the amount of money I make. So now I did leave the school because I had a once in a lifetime opportunity to build out a training program in the private sector. So I went to this company to build out the training program, and now I'm in the legal department as the corporate safety and compliance manager for this company. We are 30 locations in 15 different states at this point, with no plans to stop growth. I would have never imagined that a trades license would get me to this point. But now that I'm here and I think about it, there's no other way to do it. Experience goes a long way in the trades, and there are a lot of different pathways to take once you start the trades. So that's that's my why. Exposure, 100%. There are shortage of skilled workers in every position. Every trade has a shortage of skilled workers. And the reason behind it is the stigma. When I was in high school, we didn't talk about trades. It was college. And we'll have another episode possibly on student loans just to tie that in. But yeah, that's my why. Exposure. And to start that narrative to change the stigma of the trades being beneath or being a lower quality worker or being less than someone who has a 4-year degree, which all of those are not the case and not true. So let's talk about a licensed general contractor and a licensed building contractor. So in the state of North Carolina, if you want to build anything other than your primary residence, you're required to have a license. Also, if you're planning to subcontract anything, meaning the skilled subtrades, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, you are required to have a license. Like I said, all of the subtrades work for the general contractor. So as a licensed general contractor, you oversee the construction of any type building in North Carolina with the value limit of $500,000. Some commercial contracts are built in phases. Most residential isn't. So you can do as many phases as need be that are less than $500,000. So the skills that can be done by a GC is anything other than the subtrades, which are the plumbing, electrical, HVAC. You're licensed to do anything else. As a GC, I subcontracted out most of my work, and I would take the markup. As you know, construction has been booming the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Honestly, the construction has never stopped because we can't keep up with the demand for housing. And I decided to scale my business back when I took this position with this new company. I have not bid any new work because of this opportunity to build out this training program in the private sector. I wanted to challenge myself and to see if it could be done. So, general contractors. Let's talk about how general contractors make their money. As a GC, you make your money when you make plans, when you oversee the project. Your money comes from overhead, profit. You can mark up material if that's in your contract to purchase the material. All of that comes into your profit margin. Normally, 10, 15, maybe 20% of the contract price is normally what you'll make. 20% of $500,000. It's not bad. Also, as a licensed contractor, you can qualify other companies, meaning they're working under your license. As a licensed contractor, you can also be a paid consultant. So I also have a consulting company, meaning you can guide someone in their process from start to finish. Or you can be the GC at risk when a company from out of town needs a qualifier to finish a project in your state. I normally charge 5% of the total contract. So again, that's 5% of $500,000 per contract. And I will oversee the processes in my jurisdiction, meaning I'm at risk if anything happens on that construction site. So there are a lot of different opportunities if you want to stay in construction on the commercial side. Remember, I am a building contractor, not just residential. So again, $500,000, licensed building contractor. And I've been a licensed building contractor for a little over 10 years. I'm also a licensed home inspector. So we'll do some home inspection info in a later podcast. I'm going to see if I can bring in some of my colleagues and we'll do an interview and some research on home inspections. So that's a little bit about me and my why. Like I said, my purpose is to reach as many people as I can to let them know my story and that this is definitely a viable option for anyone. You know, my focus is middle school, high school kids who may come from an environment where they have not seen anyone like me. So again, that's my focus, to gain exposure and awareness. But if you're in the field and you're thinking of becoming a licensed contractor, or you're thinking of going into the skilled trades, you know, I have a lot of information that I can give. And if I don't know, I know someone that will. Like I said, I've made a lot of contacts in the 10, 15 years I've been in construction full time. And if you're one of my subcontractors, one of my partners I've used in the past, and I call you and ask for an interview, I'm expecting you to do it. It's a higher calling. So that's what we're doing. So again, I'm going to try to keep these episodes to around 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, any show topics that you may want me to research and talk about, I can be reached at Jonte at letstalktrades.com. Follow me on social. You have YouTube. I have my LinkedIn, Jonte Hawkins. That's my name. And I do some memes and talk a little bit on LinkedIn more than any of the other social media. I'm getting better on using TikTok, and I'm trying to catch these kids wherever they are to get them interested in these trades and make a real viable career. So again, let's keep these conversations going. Give me topics and let's talk about it and change this narrative. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next week.